Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Chamberlain, the Air Force guy. Glad to be here this evening. I hope everybody is enjoying themselves. Hope you're not getting too bored with the restrictions on travel and so forth. But it is Thursday, so be sure that if you have a beverage, go ahead and please do indulge. So this evening, we're going to be going ahead and talking about critter deterrent. Because that is one of the biggest things that people have. And of course, I hear it a lot, with all different types of campers. And I think one of the toughest ones to deter them from is pop-ups due to the fact that you have them closed up. It's hard to be checking on them on a regular basis. Whereas, travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, those types of things, a little bit easier to be checking in on them on a regular basis. But these few little tips that I'm going to be giving you here this evening could mean a great difference to what you're going to be looking at throughout the season. Good evening, Bruce. Glad you could join us here this evening. But by the way, if everybody will chime in, let me know what type of an RV that you have. I know Donna has a tab, but let me know what type of RV you have. So maybe if there's something specific that I can talk to you about with your particular unit, be more than happy to try to do that. So let's start with probably the easiest thing you could do. And now the weather's getting a little bit better. Something you could do is go on out in the evening when it gets dark out, and you're getting a 310. Awesome. Glad to hear that. I'm assuming that's a Solitude 310. But the fifth wheel, that is. But anyway, what you want to do is if you will go out and hello, Carol from Canada. Oh, awesome. Good to hear that. And so here's the thing is with Randy, see that it's coming on here too dang quickly here. Randy, good to see you on here this evening. Anyway, so I think one of the best ways of starting to figure out how to protect yourself from critter deterrent is to wait till the evening, wait till it's dark out, and go inside your camper. And what you're going to be doing is turn your lights on inside your camper, and then you're going to be coming back out of your camper, and you're going to be looking underneath, and you're looking for things that are penetrating through the floor and so forth, and you're going to see if there's any light that you can see through those holes. Now, you may have to go ahead and leave open cabinet doors and so forth to allow light to get in there. So be sure that you do that. Open drawers, cabinets, and so forth. You need to make sure that you find those little areas. Now, then what you're going to want to do is seal those areas up with sealant. You can use a little regular spray foam sealants if you wanted to. Do not overuse that stuff. That stuff expands and it could create an issue. So be careful with that. Good evening, Ron. I'm glad to see you made it here this evening. So that's the number one thing you want to do, first of all, because if you can go ahead and find out those holes that you have, that will save you a ton of time getting things done there. So that's number one. Next thing, what you're going to want to do is if it was a rather large hole, you could also use brass wool. Now, I tell you to use brass wool instead of steel wool, and the reason for that, brass wool will not rust, steel wool will. And the reason why I say with the brass wool, critters are not going to gnaw through brass wool. So just keep that in mind there. And that's basically for the your larger holes. But closing up those holes will be a great help to you. Now, the other thing you're looking at is like for the back of your refrigerator. You have your refrigerator vents on the outside. You have your water heater. You have your furnace. Those things are notorious for getting critters in there. You can buy screens to cover those up. Now, I do realize that the owner's manuals for those appliances do say that they do not recommend putting any external items on there. And in some cases, it can disrupt the airflow. And I know I tell my customers on the furnaces, I tell them to put the spring, the instead of the spring, they have spring loaded um, covers you could put over those. I tell you to go ahead and use zip ties instead of the spring load. Spring load, they end up getting loose over time and so forth. But if you just use regular zip ties to put them on there, it makes it very easy for you to take them off. Because I tell you, on the furnace, take those screens off your furnace when you're not using them. That allows the airflow to properly move for the furnace, and you'll be much happier that you do that. Good evening, Lewis. I'm glad you could make it here this evening. Just going over a few tidbits of information for how to deter critters from getting in your RV, regardless of what kind you have. Now, if your camper is sitting for extended periods of time at your home and so forth, or even at a storage lot, something you could throw on the ground underneath of it is mothballs. I do not recommend mothballs inside of your camper. Now, you can put them in behind where you're, like in the water heater area. You could put them on the back side of the refrigerator. I do not recommend them on the other inside. That areas are typically they're sealed, and those do a good job at deterring critters. So that is something that you can consider doing. Now, for those of you that may have cats at your house, you can also take and save up your dirty kitty litter and put that in little plastic bowls and put that in different places up underneath of your camper, and that scent will keep the mice and snakes and things of that nature away. So I'm told. I have customers. A lot of this information, I can't say that I've tried firsthand. I'm going to acknowledge that to you right now. But however, it is something that I've had a number of customers over the years tell me their little ways of keeping their camper safe. Some people use dryer sheets, in your outside storage, in your drawers, and things of nature on the inside, and that's supposed to be helping keep spiders away and so forth. Camping stores, they sell this little stuff that you can put in, and you need to read the directions to see how many packets you actually need, and they do a good job of keeping them out. So there are a number of different ways. I'm just giving you, a number of different ways, and you decide what's going to work best for you. This is something I actually have in my book, and so I'm kind of going through everything. Now, for those of you that maybe have an ant problem, where you're going to be camping and so forth, if you bring some of the borax with you, if you guys have heard of borax, and or if you go ahead and get yourself some kitchen cleaner that has bleach in it, what you're going to be able to do is sprinkle that around where you put your stabilizers down, around your tires, the tongue jack, and so forth. Ants will not crawl across that, and that's going to keep them from crawling up and getting into your camper as well. Now, for those of you that may have, your pull-out electrical cord because it stores inside the camper, so you open a little black door and you pull the hose, your electrical cord out. Something you might want to consider putting inside that hole after you pull it out. Put some brass wool in there and then close that little cover for it. Now, something else you can do with that is where your cord is touching the ground up several inches, go ahead and put some Vaseline on there. Ants are not going to crawl across that, mice, things of that nature. So kind of helps you from having your, basically, if you're having a water hose or, electrical hose or anything, cable coming into your camper, that's just a highway to your RV. And think of it that way. So what are the ways you can deter critters from getting in there? If you do use Vaseline on them, do remember that it's there before you go to put it away. It will get quite messy if not. I take it, Carol, I take it you have some cats, huh? Yeah, that might be something you start packaging. You never know, right? So that's something the Vaseline is a good little trick there. So something else you can consider doing is if you're finding that you're having rodents, maybe, and this typically happens when you have exposed wires or if you have a motorized home, if you have like a motorhome and so forth, and it's under the hood, something you can do so I'm told again that you can do is you can take egg whites, mix that up, and put
You're going to mix that with cayenne pepper. And that's going to make a little paste for you. And you can take a little brush and brush it on the wiring, and that will dry. It'll be clear. You're really not going to see it. It's not going to affect anything. And that will keep the critters, because you know darn well if a squirrel gets up in there or a chipmunk or a mice, you know they're going to want to chew on those wires for whatever reason. So put that stuff on there. Supposedly that's supposed to help. I know in some travel trailers and fifth wheels, you have some wires exposed on the outside. Great little trick with that as well. Now, if you want to use some things, let's say in your storage areas inside of your RV, and you don't want to put anything smelly or so forth, something you do is you get yourself some ice cube trays, get yourself some cotton balls, and what you're going to do is you're going to put peppermint oil. You could use spearmint, peppermint, it doesn't matter, one of those two, on the cotton balls, and you could let them soak into the cotton balls. Then you take those cotton balls and put those in different areas. And that strong odor will keep the critters away, because their senses are very, very keen. And so that's way too overpowering for them. And by the way, here, something I did put down in the notes down before, and I do appreciate everybody showing up here this evening. Following this YouTube live, they have endless summer or endless, I think it's endless RVing, has a 7:30. They have a 7:30 live that's going on, and then Thirsty Thursdays with this nomadic idea. So do try to go ahead and catch up with them, see what they're doing. There's a lot of good channels, and I think tomorrow night what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring to the forefront some channels that might be helpful for you, and give you some other outlets to where you can learn about things for when you're out camping and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and do that tomorrow evening, same time, same bat channel. So I don't typically keep these very long. I think the longest I've been is 20 minutes. So hopefully we'll keep it short here. And so I see Lewis says that mothballs do work, and he's been using them in his camper, and it keeps snakes away as well. And I tell people, if you throw those underneath your RV, critters are not going to come under your camper. When they don't come under your camper, they're not making beds under your camper, and they're not going to get in your camper. That's a big deal. Many tips for keeping mosquitoes out. You know, that's a good question. You know, that one I haven't, that is not in my repertoire. That's not in my list of things for mosquitoes. But, I know something that does keep mosquitoes away is air movement. If you have fans that you, on the outside, like if you're ever hanging out and you're underneath your awning, your canopy, whatever, if you bring a couple fans with you and have those fans that rotate, that's going to keep the bugs away from you, and you're going to feel much better without having those things around. But Randy, you know what? I will go ahead and see if anybody else knows of anything pertaining to getting or keeping mosquitoes out of things. That's a good idea, or a good question you have there. So now, if you go to a Tractor Supply or something like that, they actually sell dry blood. It's animal dry blood. It's kind of like, I think they use it for like fertilizer, and they use it for different plants and things of that nature. But that's something, if you go ahead and buy that stuff and you sprinkle it around the perimeter of your RV when you're storing it, and you're going to have to do this a number of times, but critters will not cross over that line. So that's, something else that could work for you. Does anybody else have any little ways that they keep critters out of things or out of their RV? Anything that you're using that you found successful? Well, I'm hoping that works. I don't know that's going to keep it from coming, inside your camper. I tell you, one of the biggest things you could do is when you're out camping and it's dark out, do not leave any lights on the inside. And I'll tell you, I know that these awning lights, they seem to be a great idea where they put the white lights. It's an awning strip that goes, the LED light strip that goes across the bottom of the awning. I think it's a terrible idea personally, because you ever go out camping, you turn those on, middle of the summer, those bugs just attract to your camper. When you open that door, they're coming right on in your camper. So most people do keep them off. I'd much rather go the old-fashioned way and put it on the awning tube out away from my camper. So
So an American beautyberry plants and hang a small branch inside the camper. Huh. Well, that's interesting. And it keeps mosquito. There you go, Randy. We figured it out for you. See that? Lewis was able to come up with the solution for your mosquitoes there. It's called a beautyberry plants. And then you just hang a small branch inside your camper. I guess you could put them on the outside too and keep them away as well. So, Donna, what do you do out there in Arizona to keep things away? You do anything good? Or Carol, how about up there in Canada? What kind of things are you doing to keep critters away? I know it takes a while to type here. You don't have too dry, but do you have any critter problems like when you're storing your camper when you're not using it? You guys have any issues with snakes? Snakes would probably be a big thing out there in Arizona. What do you think? You ever come out and find one behind your tire or anything out that way? And I bet you have some pretty big rodents out your way out there, Donna, as well. But so hopefully these tips that I've kind of gone over, um, that hopefully it helps you. If you have any questions on this, if you want to contact me, my contact information is down below. I do appreciate you showing up, and please do check out the other channels I listed down below. Like I say, there's 2 on this evening. And then tomorrow night is Travels with Delaney. They're having family game night. That ought to be pretty fun. Last week I came in about middle of the pack, I believe. Use the dryer sheets. Yep. Okay. There you go. Well, see, that's good. So mice bait squares. There you go. Well, thank you, Connie, for that information. So I appreciate you all showing up. Hopefully you found this to be helpful in some way or another. And if there's some particular topic that you would like me to cover for you at a later date, please do reach out to me and I'll see what I can do. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that'd be kind of a big road, wouldn't it, there, if you had a coyote there. So, again, thank you very much. And I'll be coming back at you again tomorrow evening, same time, same bat channel. Thanks again. Thank you, Randy.